When State Senator Dan Wolf launched his 2014 bid for governor, the Harwich Democrat asked the State Ethics Commission if his part ownership of regional airline Cape Air raised any conflicts of interest. The commission determined Wolf can't serve as governor and ruled him ineligible to hold the Senate seat he won in 2010. The problem? Cape Air contracts with Massport in order to fly in and out of Logan Airport, and state officials are barred from doing business with state agencies. The commission says that leaves Wolf with just three options: divest from the company he started 25 years ago, have Cape Air stop using Logan, or resign from public office. Wolf has 19 more days to respond to the ruling and says he plans to appeal. And State Senator and gubernatorial candidate Dan Wolf is here. Welcome.
Hi, Emily. Great to be here. Thank you.
Well, those are some three non-choices, huh?
Yeah, those are not any of those choices are good choices. I mean, one is to dismantle the airline that I spent 27 years building, and the other is to not represent the folks of the Cape and Islands who have overwhelmingly elected me for 2 elections in a row. So it's not a great choice.
Just take us through this a bit, because you actually went to the Ethics Commission when you were going to make your gubernatorial bid, but had you gone to them before when you ran for state senate as well? Yeah,
back in 2010, there were several different interactions with the Ethics Commission. One is when we filed our papers to get into the race, we had to stop by at the Ethics Commission. We never had specific conversations about the operating agreements at Logan Airport, but certainly there was awareness that I was a owner and a shareholder of Cape Air and the founder of the company, and I was running for state office. And the operating agreements in question that we finally did give them this year, because we wanted to really ramp up the scrutiny and make sure everything was clean. So we presented them with the operating agreements. They were the same agreements that were in place back in 2010.
They claim that you didn't follow through and give them some of the contracts and agreements that you had with Cape Air. They claim they didn't realize that that Massport was, you actually have a fee arrangement with them.
Yeah, well, the operating agreements we have, which are standard operating agreements and leases that all airlines have, and they're the same for all airlines, because there is no opportunity and discretion on those agreements, there's no opportunity to negotiate, there's no opportunity for influence, that I've always seen those as operating agreements and not the type of contracts that would be subject to ethics laws.
Because actually, doesn't the federal system set those fees?
The federal government has to oversee all of the agreements at a federally funded airport like Massport or like Logan Airport to make sure that all airlines are treated equally. And so there is no room to treat anybody differently as an operator at Logan.
So you go to the Ethics Commission. I mean, you knew this was a possibility, that they could come back with this, and now are you shocked? I mean, it's like, well, that's what they said. You're ineligible to run for governor. You got to give up your Senate seat. Why did you ask?
I think it's harsh. We asked because I believe in government and full disclosure and transparency, and I wanted to make absolutely sure before taking this huge step. Running statewide is a huge commitment. It's a huge step. And I just wanted to make sure that there would be no issues going forward or in the future. So due diligence, we gave them the agreements. We didn't hear from them until August 2nd, when I received the notification about the 3 options that we had. And almost 4 months had gone by, and it seems like a lot of time when you're gearing up for a gubernatorial run, and then 3 weeks after we announced.
Okay, so you're going to appeal this decision. You've got, I think, 19 days or something. What are you going to say? What's going to be your appeal based on?
Well, there is no formal appeal process. When the full commission votes, when the full Ethics Commission votes, there really is no formal appeal process. We're really going to them and asking them to reconsider, based on the fact that these leases and operating agreements are not really subject to any interference from an outside person, because they have oversight from the federal government and because the Massport board sets those fees and leases. We're really asking them to reconsider, because there really is no issue relative to conflict of interest.
All right.
There.
Can you, I don't know how this would work, but is there a way for you to put your interest in Cape Air, which is about 23%, I think, in a trust, to have it managed somewhere else, to take your interest out of it, not to sell it, not to give it up, but while you're running for governor, or should you become governor, so you don't have any vested interest? Is there a way to do that?
We're going to look at all options, but typically what politicians do is they put their assets into a blind trust. It wouldn't be a blind trust if I put Cape Air assets there, because the stock in a closely held company, those equities are not really saleable. so that the only option I would have is to divest somehow. And unfortunately, there's not a great market to divest that stock, and I want to make sure that it stays an employee-owned company. Cape Air has been an incredible entrepreneurial success, starting with 6 employees, now over 1,000. And I'm really proud that it's an employee-owned company, so that the employees have the ownership, and I'd be concerned of giving that up. So it's going to be a tough stretch to figure out how to divest, but it is one of the things I'm looking at because I really, really am passionate about running for governor.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that as long as I've got you here.
Sure.
Why do you want to run for governor? What are your big issues?
I really think that the economy and the so-called recovery in this economy, once again, it's the 3rd successive recession at least that has left most people out of the recovery. And I look at the world through the eyes of my 3 daughters who were 20, 23, and 26 coming into this world. And I look at the world through the eyes of myself as a mechanic 25 years ago starting an airline. And I think we have just limited the opportunities for those coming of age now. It involves education, starting with early childhood education and higher education. It needs to be affordable. And then creating job opportunities, growing the economy from the middle out, building infrastructure, and creating a vision, a 20-year vision, a 20-year plan that we all can be proud of as our generational legacy for those generations. And that's why I'm running. And I think the public-private partnership, the understanding of that, having built a business from scratch and the ground up, really gives me an opportunity to bring that knowledge and expertise to the State House. What's ironic to me is that knowledge and expertise and experience is part of what's really creating the headwind right now.
Do you support the current proposal by the governor to raise taxes to get all the infrastructure and transportation systems fixed?
I am a big supporter of both his emphasis on early childhood education. I'm a huge supporter of that, and also reducing the cost of higher education. And I'm a huge supporter of transportation infrastructure. South Coast Rail, connecting Western Mass with New York through rail, extending and expanding the MBTA. We want a world-class metropolitan transit system here. So I'm hugely in favor of that. I think we really need to take a look at our tax code, because as the economy over the last 30 years has become more and more top-heavy, we have to, I think, totally revamp the tax code and look at how to do that, because we can't ask more from those who really are already having a real tough time making ends meet. So I support raising the revenue to do it through progressive taxation and then making significant investments in infrastructure and education.
Governor Patrick kind of went kicking and screaming to the table over this casino thing and eventually went along with it. Is this going to work?
Well, look, anybody who really has understands the intellectual and creative capital that we have here in Massachusetts has to believe that casino gambling, relative to celebrating that, is a race to the bottom, not a race to the top. I understand that it creates good jobs, but the future of Massachusetts and how to fund the future of Massachusetts cannot and should not revolve around gambling and casino gambling. So I voted against the bill. I understand that the public has spoken and the legislature has spoken. But I think relative to raising revenue, because we should have ambitious goals and visions for the future, and raising the revenue to do that can't all come from casino gambling. It's got to come from progressive taxation.
All right, Dan Wolf, good luck with this Cape Air issue, and we'll see you in the governor's race, I presume.
Yes, absolutely. I'm in 100%, Emily. Thanks very much.